Dylan Larkin gets his first career hat trick, and then the Detroit Red Wings are just shut down. We're going to break down the whole thing with you here on Locked On Red Wings.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome back to Locked On Red Wings. I'm your host, Brian Fisher. With me today, as always, is Scotty Bentley, also host at Locked On Tigers, as well as host here at Locked On Red Wings. Scotty, well, first of all, how are you doing, buddy?
You know what? You said as always. I was like, I don't know, those last couple of days, I don't know. I'm feeling great now. I'm feeling great. It was an eventful last like 4 days, but I'm good now. Good now, feeling good. I got my booster, and it just got the better of me is an understatement. But back and ready to go. Literally said we ball multiple times while dealing with what I was going through.
It's funny too, and quick, like, you dealt with like the worst, like people who get like sick for a couple days from the booster shot or from the vaccine. Me, a little bit of a sore arm. I was like, that kind of hurts. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, it just hurt when I was hanging stuff at the store. That's all it was.
Man, like you have no idea. Like, it was to the point where, like, on the spectrum of like severe side effects to, mild side effects, I was to the point where I was told by professionals that I was an outlier of the severity, not even like, this is just like normal, like super severe, it'll hit you hard. They're like, nah, like you'll be fine, but this is even like way more aggressive than like we know of. And I was like, oh, well, that's lucky me. But we're back now, and you should still get boosted. And if I'm saying it, like you have no idea what my last 4 days was. So if I'm still saying it, then that's all you need to know.
We're going to talk, speaking of COVID, kind of have to talk about the situation that's going on with the Red Wings and the rest of the league, to be blunt. But first, before we get to that, we're going to break down the New Jersey Devils victory over the New Jersey Devils that happened on Saturday night. The Larkin game.
Question mark?
The Larkin / Bertuzzi game. It was honestly
that's the episode title.
It was the top line game. It was the top line game.
That's fair.
But before we do any of that, I got to thank you guys for making Locked On Red Wings your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Scotty, man, it's just great to have you back. It's great to say your name again.
I'm gonna tell you what, it's great to be in a situation physically where I can be back. Let me tell you.
Let's talk about that game on Saturday, the second half of the doubleheader, which thankfully I did not have to work. I had to work the noon game. Well, first of all, let's hope that the NHL and Little Caesars Arena never does a freaking doubleheader again, because I about died. Like, that was the worst.
The first time I heard or like found out that they were going to do a in-arena doubleheader, the first thing I thought was Brian Fisher. Oh my goodness. I hope that he is not working both games in that.
It's been a really stressful stretch here before Christmas with a ton of events at LCA. So I did get out right before doors of the Wings game. And of course, that was the one game I didn't get to see all season long. And Dylan Larkin goes out there and gets a hat trick. Tyler Bertuzzi goes out and gets 2 goals. Seider with an amazing assist. Raymond tallied an assist. I had to make sure I went back and watched all the highlights and all the recaps just to catch up, because I was so mad. Like, the one time I don't watch the hockey game, or the one time I'm not there working the game, the Red Wings show, despite how short they were on the bench too. Like, they were missing multiple pieces. They lost Philip Zadina as puck was about to drop. They already were down Rasmussen, who's he's a depth center for you. You're missing Fabry, another piece of your second line. Nedeljkovic went, albeit Grice was going to start no matter what anyways. He was the starter tonight. You lost a ton of pieces in this game, Scotty, and you still went out there, blew out the Devils, who are bad, albeit are a bad team, and Larkin got his first career hat trick, and Bertuzzi scored 2 goals. Like, what more could you want for a Saturday night hockey game at Little Caesars Arena?
It was an electric factory, baby. It was unbelievable. It was so fun to watch. I mean, what could you say? Like, Dylan Larkin was on one. That the goal for the hat trick was so pure and so. And everything about it, like the fact, breakaway, like it really was like all his moment. You know what I mean? Like that's exactly how every kid wants to get their third goal. Like on a one-on-one break, oh, he's going for the hat trick. You know what I mean? Like that is exactly how every kid who's skating or playing in their driveway or whatever growing up wants to score their third goal for their hat trick. And the call was fantastic. Dylan Larkin, his first hat trick in his 7th career year.
Yeah.
Like everything about it was unreal. LCA was rocking. It was something else, baby.
If LCA is a rocking, don't come a knocking.
Damn right.
Yeah. What about and so Chris Kulo? That was his first career point on that third goal and that breakaway pass. Larkin did a hell of a job receiving that. I wonder, so it was his first career hat trick and first career point for Chris Kulo. Did I cut the puck in half? Like, if I'm Larkin, I want that. But if you're Chris Kulo, like, hey, it's my first NHL point, probably my only NHL point. Like, hey, man, give me that puck.
I don't know how they did it because, Larkin very clearly in the picture had, like, the 3 pucks with the tape on it, right? So, like,
yeah.
I think –
But Chris Kulo also had a picture.
Yeah, he did. He did. I don't know how that works.
I don't know who they gave it to. It's going to be a fight for that one.
I don't think they cut it in half. I think we can eliminate that possibility.
Larkin's going to pull the captain card, be like, just going to circle the C on his chest, be like, yeah, the puck belongs to him.
I mean, like, it's also a very Dylan Larkin move, I feel like, to be, like, oh, it's your first point. Like, you have it. They'll give me some puck that was used, like, the next play, and I'll just pretend like it or whatever. I don't know.
Larkin will be like, I got a lot of more hat tricks ahead of me, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, I got a lot of pucks already in my home, so it's all right.
Yeah, and so we had a 4-point night because he also had assisted on Bertuzzi's second goal. So he is now at 29 points in 27 games. And, that's such a minor thing, like where he's at point-wise, but it feels so good to say that Dylan Larkin is above a point a game. He is a player
awesome.
We talked about it a couple weeks ago, somebody that even I at points thought was maybe a second line center. Now he's above a point per game. And it just feels so good to say that the Detroit Red Wings finally have their bona fide, not just number one center, but number one line. Like they have that set in stone. We've talked about the top line all season long, but like for once, for the first time in a long time, we don't just have a top line, but I feel like that top line is cemented, that it's solidified. And Bertuzzi had 2 goals. Raymond had an assist. It feels so good to look at Larkin with 29 points in 27 games and just know that top line is efficient and doesn't go cold. One player might go cold on it, but the line itself doesn't go cold.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've talked about it before, but this line, by any analytic, whether you use, more old school, I guess, more like less advanced stats and just use like goals, assists, points, plus minus, whatever. Like it's one of the better lines in hockey. And then if you use more analytical numbers, like it's also one of the most productive lines in the entire sport and continues to be so when it's at that full strength of that Raymond, Larkin, and Bert 1, 2, 3. And I'll tell you what, that Saturday was no different. That's for damn sure.
No, it was an awesome game to watch. We're going to continue to break down this game for you on the other side of this break. But first, I got to talk to you guys about Built Bar. A holiday season is quite literally here, guys. And Christmas is on Saturday. Oh, my God. Christmas is on Saturday. I do not like saying that. It's come on way too fast.
It's here, man.
If you guys are looking for a last-minute gift idea, go with Built Bar. It's amazingly low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat, but high in protein. You'll get the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy. With so many flavors to choose from, the person you give it to will be astounded and so pleasantly surprised because there's raspberry and mint brownie, cherry and double chocolate, cookies and cream, and peanut butter brownie. Cookies and cream, honestly, I need to try that one. That might be the next one I try.
Oh, it's good, man.
Because I love cookies. I love cream. It's got that like Oreo type flavor to it.
Yeah, dude, it's good, man. It's real good.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
nice.
That's going to be the next one because I need it. Swole is the goal and size is the prize. And Built Bar will help you get there. Dip your Built Bar into a piping hot cup of cocoa as well. Let it melt a little. Give your beverage a bit of that Built Bar flavor. Plus, you'll have a nice melty Built Bar to go with it. But make sure you bring a couple napkins. Go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off at Built.com. All right, Scotty, as we continue to break down this 5-2 Detroit Red Wings win over the New Jersey Devils, let's talk a little bit about. So Bertuzzi had 2 goals in this game. It was nice to see him clap back. I guess that's not the right terminology, but he's right back. The horse was named Friday for Tyler Bertuzzi.
I still cannot believe you had never heard.
I'm getting
that
a lot
joke,
of mileage out of this joke, by the way.
Unbelievable. Yeah, so is everyone else in the planet. Well, you're 15 years late to getting mileage out of the joke.
Well, shut up. Leave me alone. It's been a rough week. Feel bad for me.
Man,
although
yeah. Me too. What the hell?
Anyways, Bertuzzi had 2 goals in this game. It was nice seeing him after 11 straight games of not getting a goal and a stint on the COVID list. Now he has 3 goals in 2 games. His first goal that was assisted by Moritz Seider. Honestly, Seider's assist was way more impressive than the goal. The shot was just a shot from the high slot that found its way through. Moritz Seider's puck discipline, especially at the opponent's blue line, just continues to impress me. He had 2 guys converging on him. And somehow with the guy literally like 6 inches from him, makes the pass through the player's legs to Tyler Bertuzzi. I don't understand how he has that type of vision and awareness around him with that kind of pressure on him and the ability to sneak the puck through to Tyler Bertuzzi. Like, that is the second time he's done that sort of play in this past week. Like, he did it earlier to Dylan Larkin, who scored from the point from the blue line with a guy on him. He snuck it under the guy's stick. Like, this is the thing about Moritz Seider. One of the things about Moritz Seider we've been advertised is his puck discipline and puck possession on the blue line. And he just continues to just blow my mind with how he's capable of doing that.
He was his ability to, like you said, his ability to control the puck in his decision-making when he is on the opponent's blue line is remarkable. And it was something that was advertised. It was something we knew we were going to get. And now he's an assist machine, and they continue to pile up, and he continues to look beyond impressive. And that's so important too, because everybody knows how good of a defenseman he is, right?
Yes.
So like that's like what he's hanging his hat on, the physicality and being defensive. That's like his game. And now we have this whole other layer of he's actually can. I feel like saying run an offense is maybe a little too dramatic or strong, but like he can run point at the top of an offense and have it be successful.
No, he could very much
very successful. And the fact that he's only a rookie and is already doing that, I mean, I don't know, man. I get so excited about thinking of the future of this team, and he is obviously, as he is to everybody, one of the biggest reasons why.
Well, I said I wasn't going to do this. I really did. And now my mind is automatically going there. And we talked about how, and you're going to laugh as soon as I say, because we talked about it between segments that we didn't have to do it.
Oh, you want to talk about the Calder?
Yes. I can't not. Because we talked about how, like, I think in both our minds, Raymond was becoming the runaway favorite with how hot he was. And he's still garnering points. But, like, it's mostly assists. It's been a goal here and there rather than just all the goals he was getting. Moritz Seider has been defenseman number 1 since the moment he stepped on the ice. He led the defense again. Only defenseman to register over 20 minutes, and he registered 24 minutes in that game on Saturday against the Devils. He's got over 20 points in 30 games played, so he's on pace for 40, 50-point season as in his first career year as a defensive defenseman. Like, because defensive defensemen don't get a lot of like hype. People, I think, are underrating how much he's been doing, but I think he's right neck and neck in that Calder race. And on top of, like, to go back to what you said, like, he is excelling offensively because he excels defensively, if you know what I mean. Like,
for sure. Because
he's so good with puck possession at our blue line is why he's getting assists and why he's, providing offense. Like, his ability to hold on to the puck means that he can create space to make the pass. Like his defense is allowing him to create offense.
For sure, absolutely. Good defense creates good offense, baby.
Yeah.
That's the golden rule, right? And he is the prime example of that. And like again, it's so remarkable because it's not just he's such a good defenseman that he creates a stop or gets a turnover or whatever, and then can push the puck down ice, and then our offense can just handle it, and that's still that's fantastic and whatever. Like you need that, but what's remarkable about him is that he does that, he gets the stop, but then he is also getting the puck back at the top of the zone and kind of running like he is doing both by himself. By himself again is
No.
far too dramatic, but like
you're not far off though.
Right. He is the reasoning, and he is like the cornerstone for the defensive stops that turn into offensive production. He is doing the defense and the offense of those moments, and that is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been incredibly fun to watch. He's definitely the quarterback of the defense, and in time he'll be the quarterback of the entire team from the back end. And it's just like you said, Scotty, it's incredibly fun to watch. The other guy I wanted to mention, got to give some love to Thomas Greiss. I feel like we've been bagging on him a little bit lately because he hasn't had the best performances, but he played pretty well in that game. He had 31 saves and 33 shots against, only allowing 2 goals. It's nice to see him. Now, he was going to start this game regardless. Nedeljkovic, we all know, went into COVID protocol. And we're talking about the whole COVID situation in the final segment. But Greiss was going to start this game regardless. But he didn't have anyone who could back him up. Calvin Pickard got called up, but he didn't have anyone who could bail him out, so to speak. If Greiss was having a bad game, you throw Pickard in there. He's capable, I guess, of filling that backup role, but he's not Alex Nedeljkovic. And now, last year he had Jonathan Bernier to back him up. So Greiss had to come out and have a good game because he had no one who could possibly bail him out behind him. And he came out and he had a good game. And it was just nice to see that he is capable of doing that despite being like 36 years old and kind of honestly having a down year.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was a beauty. And it was, for as good as the offense was, and I thought the defense looked pretty solid, and especially in comparison to kind of some of their performances the last couple of weeks. You need all three of those components, and while he wasn't some masterclass on his head, ridiculous performance by any stretch, I've said it a million times, if Greiss goes out there and keeps us competitive and keeps us in games, that's all I care about, and he sure as hell did that and a lot more on Saturday. So props to him.
Yeah, with the exception of that very first goal where it was just a knuckle puck that found its way through, he looked fine. He made the saves he should have made. He didn't go out of his way to make any insane. He made a couple nice saves. He did. But he kept the team in the game, gave them a chance to win. And in a game where depth is definitely hurting for the Detroit Red Wings because of all the COVID situation, you needed goaltending on your top line to show up, and they definitely did. And 5-2 win. Enjoy it because it's the last one you're going to have for a while, till at least December 27th. And we're going to talk about that whole situation when we come back. But first, got to talk to you guys about BetOnline.ag. BetOnline has you covered all season long with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football season. First, Lions got a win. They beat up the Cardinals. What the hell?
All of Detroit.
I'm wearing my Lions hat to celebrate.
All of Detroit with a dub, baby.
It feels like the first time all season I've actually been able to wear the Lions hat after the Lions game. I mean, they got that win over the Vikings, but I didn't have it on me as at my parents. But man, what the hell? I don't even know how to feel about that.
A beat down.
Yeah, beat down of the 10+ win Cardinals.
10-3, now 10-4, baby. We ball.
Well, if you bet on the Lions, you probably made a pretty penny because they were definitely underdog. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all of the sports action this season. Head to their new desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Final segment of Monday's edition of the Locked On Red Wings. Scotty, the Red Wings do not play a game tonight. They do not play the Colorado Avalanche at home. and they are not going to be playing the Wild on, I believe it was supposed to be Thursday in Minnesota, because much like many other teams, they're going through a COVID, I won't say crisis, but a spike in cases. They lost Alex Nedeljkovic, Pius Suter, Sam Gagne, Joe Veleno, Philip Zadina, Robbie Fabry, Michael Rasmussen, Carter Rowney, Giovanni Smith, along with head coach Jeff Blashill, assistant coach Alex Tanguay, and another assistant coach, I believe, today, all to COVID protocols, basically making it impossible for them to play. They started this bunch of players they started losing. They started losing before the game on Saturday. They had to call up coaches from Grand Rapids to stand behind the bench. They had to call up players from Grand Rapids like Calvin McCart, who we mentioned, to be the backup tendy. And then with more positives shortly on the way, the NHL said, get through your game. We're going to shut it down. Shut it down. They did. Scotty, this is just, I think we all saw it coming. I was honestly surprised they played yesterday's game with how short notice. Like, they lost Philip Zadina right as the puck was about to drop. But the bright side to all this, if you're looking for a silver lining, is even though the games are postponed, every player, with the exception of Tyler Bertuzzi, who we've talked about, is vaccinated, and all these players are having very minor symptoms, if any at all, which proves the vaccine is working. It's doing its job. It's just that because they're testing all 3 days, they're finding out players are asymptomatic, and they're trying to shut them down so it's not transmissible. But it's just getting very tiresome for this to continue to happen. And the NHL's protocols as it stands, I think I don't know. I don't want to say they don't work because they're finding players who are positive. But if the vaccines are working, I guess I'm just starting to wonder if there's a point. I know the NFL recently adopted you only test if you're symptomatic policy. I'm not sure if the NHL can continue their season with it going like this without them making a decision one way or the other to either shut it down completely, which they're shutting down several teams until after Christmas. Red Wings' first game isn't until the 27th. The next game against the Rangers. Or if they just start doing what the NFL did where they only test symptomatic players. I feel like one way or the other is inevitable because the way they're doing it now is just temporarily shutting down teams and stretches. It just feels like it's impossible to continue that trend. Yeah, no, it's we're about to head into the third calendar year with this thing, right? It's unbelievable that this is our reality, right? Yes.
If anybody told us that this was a thing in 2019, it's unreal. I still have a hard time wrapping my head around a lot of it. And that this is, just reality now. And there is a very difficult decision that's going to have to be made with the policies because you are going to have to decide, like you said, whether if you're just going to keep doing it the way that it is, where it is complete, you test positive no matter what your symptoms are, and you're sitting out for whatever it is, 10 days, then you might be right that the league might be shutting down here relatively quickly. They might not be able to play, like literally. I'm not sure. Players. Right. Unless you're fielding NHL teams, or AHL teams rather. But again, then there's some to be said for. It feels kind of weird, even though the vaccine is like you said, clearly doing its job. And we haven't found, thankfully, very many cases at all within the NHL level, at least, of players testing positive and getting hit really hard with it. So obviously the vaccine is doing something. But it also just the feeling, I guess, of this is very arbitrary, but you're good. The feeling of we'll just let the entire NHL get COVID and then just keep playing is also and again, it's if as long as people aren't getting super symptomatic and everyone's vaccinated, it should be fine. But it's just the again feeling arbitrary, just the subjective feeling of that is weird in the same breath, and so it's they're going to have to make a decision. And the thing is, they're going to have to make a decision damn quick because we have way too many teams that are, and the NBA is going through the same thing. The Orlando Magic played a game the other night where they had 8 players active and their opponent had 7. Like that, you can't do that for a full season either, right? So those two leagues, which are so lockstep in so many different ways, are going to have to, like you said, come to a decision on what their policies are going to be going forward, and whether it's going to take the NFL route of just symptoms, or if they're going to keep doing everybody and see what happens. But regardless, we're going to be out of Red Wings hockey no matter what the policy is for the next week.
Yeah, and so the players are frustrated, and I feel like to an extent justifiably so, because they're all vaccinated and they're still getting tested on a 72-hour basis. The reason they're frustrated, and I understand why they're frustrated, because fans are allowed in their arenas unless you're in Montreal, and also Canada's shutting down the border for cross-country games.
That's the other thing that only the NHL on a major scale has to deal with, right? A quarter of their league is
in Canada,
in a different country that is much stricter. What's the word I'm thinking of? Much stricter
on policies, protocols.
Whatever word you want to use. I couldn't think of any of them. For COVID and on a just general scale as a country, not even just for their hockey players. So that's another thing. The NHL has to accommodate 2 different countries' policies rather than just
and that's
all
why
the other leagues who pretty outside of teams who have like one team in Toronto. It's a lot different.
And that's why I think if they were to go either route, either shutting down completely or just only testing symptomatic, why I think they'd shut down the whole league, which you're starting to see a little bit, shutting down teams temporarily, because you have to also cater to the Canadian government, which is, like we said, a lot stricter. Which is why I don't think you're going to get an NFL route where they're just going to test the symptomatic. But I understand why players are frustrated, because they got vaccinated, they did what they were supposed to do, and they're still getting tested every 72 hours. And even though they feel 100% fine and could still play, and they're still in the gyms working out at home, like they're still not being allowed to play. Meanwhile, fans are allowed to pour in the buildings without masks.
Right.
I have to wear a mask through my job, but like unless I don't get tested every day. So unless I'm symptomatic, I don't have to get tested. So everyone in the arena is working, but the players themselves are not allowed to play unless they're vaccinated or unless they test negative every 72 hours. So I understand why the frustration is there, and which is why I'm saying policies as they stand feel like they're a little outdated. They worked good in a situation where the whole league wasn't vaccinated, but where the league is vaccinated now. And I understand that if you're vaccinated, you're still transmissible, which is why I'm not completely sold on just going the whole only test if you're symptomatic route, because you could still pass it on. But if everyone is vaccinated, which not everyone is, and there's people who medically cannot get vaccines, like they're allergic to what's the ingredients of the vaccine. So I understand that. I'm not trying to be like, just get rid of the testing altogether. But I'm saying there has to be, the NHL has to make a decision one way or the other on either shutting down or only testing the symptomatic, because the protocols as they stand just don't really make a whole lot of sense, because you're making players who feel completely fine sit out while the coronavirus tears through locker rooms, and you're only catching it after they're already positive. So they're still spreading it, and then they're spreading it, and then you're like, okay, go sit down. So they're not catching it in time. Like you can trace back through contact tracing which team it started tearing through first. That team went on a road team, faced another team. Then that team got hit, and then that team played another team, and that team got hit. So the policies aren't working. You're not catching these players in time. Dylan Larkin left halfway through a hockey game. We talk about he's a false positive, but this isn't. He's not the only player this happened to. What is the point if you're only pulling players off the ice after they're already infected everyone else?
Right. Yeah. At the end of the day, no matter what everybody and every individual's opinion is of what they should do, the policy is almost certainly going to change to an extent. It's just a matter of whether that is more leniency or stricterness, which would lead to undoubtedly a league shutdown.
Well, and I know that the NHL said that they're going to basically treat this next week. I think there's January 1st or something like that. They're going to treat it as if it was last season with testing. So basically test players every single day, which is, heading in the right direction of like, because I guess my main complaint is either take COVID seriously or don't take it seriously at all. Because it's wishy-washy, like, oh, we're going to test you every 72 hours. Like I said, COVID is just still tearing through, locker rooms. You're not catching it in time. So what's even the point? Yeah, pick a side. Either test every single day or don't test at all because you're not catching it in time as you're doing it.
Clearly. Right. Like that's not an arguable thing.
Yeah.
Like very clearly they are not, because we have like a quarter of the league is now playing till after
over 100
Christmas
players are in COVID protocols.
Right. Yeah.
And like I'm very pro vaccine, very pro COVID protocols, and I will say that. I'm just really frustrated at the league because they're not working. It's not working right now.
Right. The current policies aren't working, which is the problem. Yeah.
Like just fix it. Make it work.
Make it happen, baby.
Yeah. Oh, that felt good. I feel like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders. I've been sitting on that frustration, waiting for the Monday episode for like 2 days now.
It's what we're here for, baby.
Oh, Scotty, any final thoughts you wanted to say? I know I kind of took over that rant there.
No, hey, you were on a roll, man. Any final thoughts? Go Blue. It's almost time.
Go Blue. Hell of a weekend to be a Detroit sports fan. Pistons broke their losing streak after like 15
Everybody.
games.
Pistons, Wings, Lions, baby.
It was a good weekend.
3-0.
Red Wings got a hat trick game right before shutting down until after Christmas. Good way to end it.
We ball.
We ball.
No matter how bad I feel, I will always still be that.
All right. Thank you guys for making Locked On Red Wings your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q, with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. We'll be back with you guys with a new episode tomorrow. Don't know what we're going to be talking about yet. Honestly, probably going to be either Olympics, All-Star Game, or World Juniors, because we got all that coming up, maybe, possibly, if COVID doesn't shut that down too. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.
There it is.